Hello and welcome back. You know, I want to take a moment and let's just have a little chat, shall we? Just between you and I. From me to you. In fact, I'm going to close my Bible here and let's just make it a chat. Let's talk about an interesting subject. It can be backed up with scriptures left and right in all kind of different ways. But this is about a way of thinking. It's about a way of responsibility. You know, everywhere I look today, everyone seems to have an excuse for why they do what they do and to try to validate their actions. One of the biggest ones that's used today is addiction. Another one is mental health problems. We even turn our heads away from pure evil to give something an excuse so that no one has to acknowledge, much less take responsibility for actions, much less their own. But rather yet, we come up with all kinds of excuses that are co-signed by all kinds of people with, quote, high educations and tons of research and experience. And the truth of the matter is, well, let me back up. Addiction is a very terrible thing. It can be a very strong and terrible thing. Especially, there are all kinds that people use, and they say that there's addictions. There's all kind of addictions. You can be addicted to drugs, which is so horrible and has psychological as well as physical addictions, and those are valid. There are also other addictions that are just as strong, that are mainly psychological. You can be addicted to gambling. You can be addicted to porn. That's one that's grown so much over the decades, and so common today. Addicted to golf. You can be addicted to a sport or sports or anything. You can be addicted to your own children to the point that it's unhealthy. Any kind of overzealous attention that controls your life in a negative way is, an addiction. You can be addicted to anything to the point that it's a negative in your life. I remember many years ago I was asked by someone the question of, I was actually on radio at the time, and I remember we were having a particular conversation in reference to various things about being able to get into heaven. And we had a talk show, and we had a lot of ministers and theological professors and various professional gentlemen with us. And we had a call in, and one came in and said, and asked me, and I was the most I wasn't really talking much. I was letting them do all the talking. And he asked me, a gentleman that called in asked me and said, could you go to hell for smoking cigarettes? And everything went through. We were talking about addictions and things like this. And it went around the table and everyone put in their 2 cents. But then he came back and said, no, I'm asking. He was asking for my attention and what I had to say about it. And most of them said, well, yes, and it's the body is the temple, and you're not supposed to pollute it, and giving all kinds of examples and reasons and why. And when he asked me, I told him, well, I'm going to give you the straight answer. Are you ready? And he said, yes, absolutely, I'm ready. And I said, are you sitting down? He said, yes, I'm sitting down. I'm ready. Give it to me, brother. And I said, okay. Menthol or non-menthol? And he said, menthol. And I said, oh yeah, you're going to hell on a grease pole. Menthol, absolutely. And then that was, of course, tongue in cheek. And then I told him, listen, anything you do that separates you from your responsibilities, and especially from your relationship with God, is not a good thing. God doesn't care if you smoke a cigarette. He doesn't mind if you have a cigar and do things. Of course not. There are certain things that are stupid because it's just asking for something to control your life if you enter into them. But that doesn't mean that that particular thing is what's evil or what's wrong. I'm going to hit you with another truth tonight. There are only 2 addictions in this world. No, that can't be. There's all kinds of addictions. There's hundreds of them, and there's so many, some worse than others, and there's all kinds of addictions. No, there isn't. I give you that there are drugs that cause very bad physical addictions and psychological addictions. But I want you to listen very carefully to what I'm saying here. Okay? There are only 2 addictions in this world. You're either addicted to the Father or you're addicted to yourself. Who did you do those drugs for? Yourself, right? Who are you addicted to porn for? Yourself. Who are you addicted to gambling for? No matter what excuses you may want to use, you're trying to feed a void. And you're trying to do what you want rather than what you need. You're not doing it for God. You're trying to do it by turning your back. No, sometimes you may not even know you're doing it. Turning your back on the Father and trying to take care of your worldly desires rather than what you need to do and what the Father wants of you. One of the greatest lessons I ever learned was this. There's a big difference, and this applies to, especially now, to our generation, the generations alive on the world today than ever before. I've got these needs, and then I've got these wants. So my impulse is to do what I want to do, not what I need to do. So then by doing so, I pay attention to taking care of my wants, but I don't take care of my needs. And the whole time I'm taking care of my wants, my needs pile up, don't they? You've been there. You understand what I'm talking about. And those needs start to grow and get bigger, and that pile becomes not a pile anymore, but a large pile, then a hill, then, as time goes on, a mountain of needs. And the more it grows, and when you look at it, the more you want to turn your back on it and pay attention to your wants rather than your needs. Because it hurts you even to think about it. You become depressed because your needs are so great. So you dive into those wants even more and more and more with the same zeal of an addiction. And as an addiction, it doesn't make any difference what it is. It could be anything. I don't care if your addiction is doing anything, watching TV or doing something to not take care of your needs. And the hardest lessons that I ever went through and learned here on this earth was this. The moment that I finally acknowledged that and rolled up my sleeves and attacked my needs with zeal, and it's a long and hard struggle, the more I worked on it, the better I felt, and the more I took care of my needs, until after a while, soon I had no needs whatsoever. And you know what the miracle behind it all was? The moment that I didn't have any more needs, I'd taken care of all that I needed to, I no longer had wants. Oh, we're not talking about this is nice or that's nice, or let's do this and that's a nice, I want to do this. But I didn't dive into what I wanted anymore. I didn't have to have an escape. And the big one was, then I could devote 100% attention to what God wanted. And when I did that, my needs disappeared. They really did. I'm telling you this as a testimony. The moment that I did that was the moment that I beat my addiction to myself. That's what happens. You're addicted to yourself. You're not addicted to a particular thing. Those may be the crutches that you use to feed your addiction to yourself. But they're not the addiction. The addiction is to you. And the moment that you realize that, and the moment that you stop putting yourself on a pedestal and put someone else on it, to listen to the Father and put him where he belongs, or actually where he is, and acknowledge that, and lower yourself, that's the moment that you go in with blind faith, doing what he says, and it's confirmed. When he says, trust me on this, I'll catch you, and it happens. You go at it with blind faith, and you do what he says, and he catches you. What's the first thing that happens after that? You're so excited that you want to do it again and again and again. You're just so full of excitement and joy and zeal, and it's amazing. And you have to hold back. You can't run too fast. But that's the best way to beat your addiction to yourself. You were told that a man can't get rid of a demon and then clean his house, and just surely as anything, then that demon would run around and find 7 other demons that are worse than he was, and they would come back and fill that house and be 7 times worse than it was before, right? You have to not only clean it, but you have to fill it. Your life is very much like, let's say, a gallon milk jug full of just horrible stuff, spoiled milk and all kinds of nasty things in there. And you have to dump it out, or you can dump it out, and you can get rid of it. You can even sterilize that jug. But if you don't fill it full of what's good and righteous, bad will come back into it. You conditioned yourself to doing what you wanted for a long time, haven't you? You have to recondition yourself. And the only way to do that is trusting in He of whom knows what's right from what's wrong and has proven it. And to have faith and go with what He says. You, as that jug, you have to fill it with good, wholesome, pure, nice, cold milk. And you can't fill it halfway, can you? Because bad and evil and the crap will get back inside of it and ruin the whole thing. You can't have it even go almost to the top because still there's room for enough bad to come in and taint all of it. It has to be all the way full. Then there's no room for the bad to get in. I sure appreciate your ear. I wanted to spend this time with you. It was on my heart. And I hope here shortly that we'll spend another nice conversation. I look forward to it here on The Reveal. God bless.